choo choo, choo choo, boogie, woo woo, woo boogie, choo choo, choo choo, boogie. Take me right back to the track, Jack.
Seemed like a big occasion to have made it 5 years. It's kind of traditionally in small business, they say, well, if you made it 5 years, you made it over the hump. And I just felt like it was just such a big deal to have made it 5 years in any small business, especially an arts business during a global pandemic. Felt like well worth celebrating.
Gonna settle down by the railroad track, live a life of Raleigh in a beaten down shack. So when I hear the whistle, I can peep through the crack, hear the train rolling with its ball and a jack. Cause I just love the rhythm of the clickety-clack. So take me right back to the track, Jack. Choo-choo, choo-choo, choo-boogie, woo-woo, woo-woo, choo-boogie, choo-choo, choo-choo, choo-boogie. Take me right back to the track, Jack.
Yours is still my baby, baby. Seems my flame in your heart's done gone out. Our woman is a creature that has always been strange. Yeah, just when you're sure of one, you find she's gone and made a change. Is you is or is you ain't my baby. Baby's found somebody new. Or is my baby still my baby too?
I had Wandering Turtle Art Gallery from 2002 till 2011, and that was a very community-centered gallery, and that's what I've always wanted with any business that I have or had, to be a community resource and to support people, not just about me or about just the artists that I represent, but I want to give lots of people opportunities to use the space, and it's a community-based business, and that's how it works for me, and it makes me feel like I'm giving back to the community that's supporting my business and making it possible for me to have this small business. Here I am back in Bloomington, my hometown, and that's happy for me to be here, and spent 4.5 years in Spencer, and that was a wonderful experience and really amazing to have worked there for a year before the pandemic hit, and then having a full 2.5, 3 years after the pandemic and still survive in that really small town felt like quite the accomplishment. I think I made a good connection with a lot of people throughout central Indiana through that location. So it was a good experience. Then after a while, I decided that it was probably time to try to come back to Bloomington. I didn't actually find the space, it found me. So I was offered the space from my landlord, who's been really, really supportive, and he's a big supporter of the arts. And he called me up in Spencer and asked if I'd ever consider coming back to Bloomington. And I said, well, of course I would, but you know, rents are pretty high in Bloomington for an arts business. And he made it possible for me to come back. You know, it's certainly a little bit more than I was paying in Spencer for sure, but it's a good price for Bloomington, and I really appreciate that he was able to make it possible for me to come back.
So it's been really awesome being here for the 5 years. I've been lucky enough to be with her for a little over 3 of it. So it's just really cool seeing the transition of everything and the move to Bloomington and the expansion there and all the extra goodies that came with that, like the wine and beer license and the stage built, and just it's a good location. I feel like I've got kind of the same eye that she does for work, and I'm the sales manager here, so it's, you know, seeing the shop side of the things as well as the artwork side. So it's not just artwork, it is a lot of locally made gift stuff as well.
be clear. Our love is here to stay. Not for a year, but ever and a day. The radio and the telephone and the movies that we know may just be passing fancies, and in time may go. Oh my dear, our love is here to stay. And love is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can't take it. Take my heart and please don't break it. Love was made for me and you.
We're a part of the gallery walk, which that's every first Friday of the month from 5 to 8, and we always have special music for that. But we also have an acoustic afternoon, which is now happening 4 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesdays of the month. And we have jazz night on the third Thursdays of the month. And we have special music when a musician's passing through and they ask me if they can perform, and we'll make arrangements for that. But we also have a book club and a fiber arts group, and if you go to juniperartgallery.com, there's an events page and you can find out when things are happening, or you can sign up for our monthly e-newsletter and we'll send you a list of everything that's happening that month.
What do you hope people think when they come into Juniper Gallery?
I just hope that they're in awe and they really enjoy the experience. It really is a full experience, not just going in to get some shopping done. And like I said, we've got the cafe now too. You can come hang out and just enjoy the day here.
And I'm really excited to be teaming up with Piccoli Dolci. I just love that company, and it just seems so great because my dad was such an avid Italian lover. He just loved Italy and the Italian Renaissance, and he just everything was Italian for him. He was so excited. So it makes me happy to be teaming up with an Italian eatery and bakery, and I love that they make really good lasagna and gnocchi, and yeah, so that was probably the hardest part about putting this all together, was the kitchen aspect. It was just a whole new aspect, and I was so fortunate to be able to get a wine and beer license. So that's a good thing.
This is a good idea. Yeah. The beer and wine.
Yeah. I'm open late now until 6:30 on weekdays and 7 on Fridays.
Okay.
And I'm having a happy hour, like 4:30 to 6:30.
Like, she has done just such a beautiful job creating a welcoming space, and just so much beautiful artwork from so many talented artists around here, and just a really good community vibe.
It's very exciting. I represent about 30 Indiana artists from all over the state in this regional artist room gallery. It's the main gallery, is the Legacy Gallery I've dedicated to my parents, Paul and Margaret Sweeney. And then in the special exhibits room, that gallery changes out about every 6 weeks, so I can offer people that aren't always being represented by me an opportunity to show their work too. So the 30 artists that show here only change out twice a year, fall and spring.
They all said we never could be happy. They laughed at us and how. But ho ho ho, who's got the last laugh? He he he. Who's got the last laugh? Ho ho ho. Who's got the last laugh now?
It's only a paper moon sailing over a cardboard sea. But it wouldn't be make believe if you believed in me. Said it's only a canvas sky sailing over a muslin sea. But it wouldn't be make believe if you believed in me. Without your love, it's a honky-tonk parade. Without your love, it's a melody played on a penny arcade. It's the Barnum and Bailey world, just as phony as it can be. But it wouldn't be make-believe if you believed in me.
she's really connecting with the community at large, the arts community at large, and just getting them involved in the gallery space. Just really, it's not just about visual art. Yeah.
Well, Jamie just has a lot of creativity, and she uses it, and she isn't afraid to try something that's not been done before. I really admire her for that.
I have always admired her taste. I mean, she's a real curator, and I'm standing here looking at this marvelous art by Yuri Kadamov. It's the sort of thing that you just wouldn't see in most galleries.
I serve as the Minister of Record for Yuri Kadamov, also known as Yuri Kadamov, who is a prisoner on the federal death row in Terre Haute. And this is an exhibition of his work. So when I first met him, he lives through his art is his entire life. So that when you meet him within the first 5 or 10 minutes, you know that he is an artist who does art, and it means so much to him. So from the very first kind of times we started talking, he was like, "Do you think you could do an exhibition of some of my work?" I was like, "Yeah, let's make that happen." So this is that coming to fruition.
And how did the relationship with Jamie and Juniper Gallery come about?
I was connected with Yuri as his Minister of Record by Reverend Bill Breeden from the Unitarian Universalist Church, who goes to death row once a month. And when I mentioned it to him, I was like, "I'd really like to do a showing of stories." "Oh, I know exactly the place. You got to do Juniper Gallery. It's the best. Jamie's the best." So that's how we got connected with, on his recommendation.
I've been serving another man on death row for, 14, 15 years. I see him once a month. And during those years, several guys have asked me if I'd be their minister too. I just can't take more than one. It's a psychic toll on you, and every time I go over, it's a 3-hour visit, and if I take 2, then it's a 6-hour visit. So it'd be impossible. So guys were just looking for ministers of record, and so Yuri, I knew wanted one, and so I drafted Ross Eiler. I've known Ross for a long time, and I said, "I think you'd be great." And one of the things I always tell people when I talk to them about becoming a minister of record is that there's a good possibility that if the person is given an execution date, they're going to ask you to go into the execution chamber with them. And I always say I won't respect you any less if you say you can't do that and decide not to do it. But Ross decided to do it, and I think he's found it to be it's just an amazing experience. My guy on death row, his name's Chad Fulks, and every time I go see him, he said, "Well, I can't thank you much. How you've been here all these years." And I always tell him, I said, "I thank you because I couldn't get in here if you hadn't asked me. I couldn't just walk into death row." And it's been a real gift to me. It's been an education, and Chad's like a son to me now. He's tried to commit suicide 3 times, and they spend thousands of dollars to keep him alive so they can kill him someday, I guess. But, solitary confinement is, I think, the worst torture in the world. Leo Tolstoy said it was #1 torture that humans can come up with. And so when I met Yuri and realized he needed a minister, I got Ross. And then another guy wanted a minister, and Laura Lacerda here in Bloomington, another one of the Catholic worker people. I drafted her, and so she's in that now. And both of them, I think, have really, you receive so much more than you give. And it's hard to believe that the people on death row have anything to give, but they do. And, of course, Yuri's art is off the scale. I think I call him the Picasso of death row. He's just an unbelievable artist.
He is very prolific. He spends about 10 hours a day working on art because he's in solitary confinement, so that's kind of what he does. And so as a result, he actually has a huge library of his works being stored by his lawyer, Margaret O'Donnell. And so a lot of time was spent going through all the pieces, picking out some works. So it was a long process kind of getting it up here. Almost all of his pieces and all of his modern pieces are mixed media in that they actually contain pieces of the wall of death row. He picks collapsed stucco off the floors is peeling off of the walls in death row and incorporates them into all of his pieces. Also, almost all of his pieces involve like a strange squiggly circle of somehow. That is, when he first moved into death row, he was given a contraband nylon rope by one of the other prisoners. The purpose being, if they ever give you an execution date, just hang yourself. You do it yourself. Don't let them kill you. But he decided early on, I'm going to use this for life and not death. So he, instead of committing suicide with the rope, he incorporates it into all of his work. So he tends to kind of, I've seen him do a few pieces, and he tends to just throw the rope down and let however it lies, he incorporates that as his beginning image that he uses to depart on all of them. These are both some of his earlier works. This is from 2010, where he was much more influenced by Kandinsky and some of the other Russian abstract artists. And he's moved into much more representational stuff. Not much more, still pretty weird, but more representational stuff. I really think Yuri's work with color is fascinating. Oftentimes he doesn't have access to color art supplies because art supplies are so limited in prison. So he has to make do with a very limited color palette. So that's why black and white really dominates a lot of his work. You also see some of the other things that he has. This actually incorporates some of the paperwork, the actual paperwork of his death row sentencing in the piece. And this above section is part of involves a letter from Pope Benedict. He is organizing a wider meta project with his work called Art Against Death, which he's very interested in thinking about how art can be used not just to address the problem of capital punishment, but all forms of violence and death. So he is very committed to his Art Against Death project, of which this is a piece in the series.
What Yuri's work does, one of the reasons I'm really glad that we're able to show this work, is that I hope it gives people an understanding that we have human beings on death row. I mean, real human beings, artistic people who, some of whom surely have done bad things, but they're human beings and we need to treat them humanely. And the way we treat them says more about us than it does about them.
When you walked in, what was your first thing you noticed?
The music playing, and then I noticed all the artwork out for the 5th birthday. I mean, the fall artwork was amazing. I didn't know how it looks any other time, so it was really nice to see all the artwork out.
First thing I noticed was the music, and I really like jazz, so that's good.
And what about the artwork?
It's so beautiful. All of it is unique, and I haven't seen anything like it.
When they see you out with me, I don't blame them, goodness no. My sun rose. Oh, when you're passing by, flowers up inside, I know you're the reason why. Your perfection, goodness knows. Honeysuckle rose. Oh, no, my sugar. Just have to touch my girl. You're my sugar. So sweet when you stir it up. When I'm taking sips from your honey lips. Seems the honey fairly drips. Your perfection, goodness knows. Honeysuckle rose.
I also noticed the music first.
Yeah.
I think everything's really pretty. I like how they have just a bunch of little knickknacks and things. Lots to look at.
It's approachable.
Yeah.
That's the thing I like about it.
Very homey in here.
Yeah.
I came here for an art assignment for my art class, and I really enjoy it. I did not hear anything about it until I got into the class. So now I'm really excited to be able to come back here for more events.
It just makes me happy to be able to share my love for art with young people and to see them get excited about it. And, it's just, sometimes the people that are my age are kind of downsizing, so it's nice to have young people come in who are excited about perhaps collecting art. Maybe they can't aren't in a position yet to be able to purchase, the fine art that's maybe a little bit out of their budget. But we have lots of reproductions and cards, and it's just so fun to see them get excited about it. So that really has been a good thing about being back in Bloomington, is the young people coming in.
While away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain. In my head I'd be scratching while my thoughts are busy hatching, if I only had a brain. I'd unravel every riddle for every individual in trouble or in pain. With the thoughts I was thinking, I could be another Lincoln if I only had a brain. Oh, I could tell you why the ocean's near the shore. I think of things I never thought before, and then I'd think a little more. I would not be just a nothing, my head all full of something, my heart all full of pain. I would laugh and I'd be merry like a ding-a-dairy if I only had a brain. If I